G'day there guys, Marky here, and welcome back to another episode of r/relationship advice. With that said, I want you to sit back, relax, chuck a prawn to the barbie, and let's get right into it. Posted by user Don't Call Me Baldy, titled, Am I the asshole for pressing charges on a former friend for shaving my head in my sleep? For some context, a relative of what used to be a close friend of mine who we'll call Gary for this story contracted cancer. I, mid-20s male, was sympathetic and even contributed $100 to a donation pool for their treatment, but Gary came to me one day and took off his hat to reveal a freshly shaven head. He told me that everyone in his family were doing it in support of his relative, and so were a lot of our mutual friends. Then he asked that I get on the bandwagon. I told him that I didn't want to shave my head because I like my hair. My hair is black, regularly combed, and well-styled. He said I could just get a wig or something and had actually brought his shaver kit. He was unboxing it when I told him this was not happening. I don't even really know his relative that he's doing this for, so I'm not doing it, end of discussion. He called me an asshole and left angry. We didn't speak for a week, and then last Saturday I got invited to a party at another close friend's house. It was there that I found out that Gary had tried the same thing on several other friends, and only a couple of them actually did shave their heads. Gary wasn't at the party, so I had a blast hanging out, playing video games, and listening to rock music. But I had way too much to drink and couldn't drive home, so they said that I could just sleep upstairs. I passed out on a bed and it was a blissful sleep until I was shaken awake by another friend who told me that Gary had showed up late and they caught him shaving my head while I was passed out. I saw what I looked like in the mirror and I wanted to scream like I was in a horror movie. Gary even shaved off one of my eyebrows. Gary was still there and acting proud of himself, saying, "Now you're gonna have to shave off the rest just like me, lol." I was furious and I called the cops. When they got there, Gary fully admitted to what he had done to me and even said that he was justified. The police didn't seem to think so, as this is classified as a form of assault. They asked me if I wanted to press charges, and the first words out of my mouth were, "Hell yes." Gary cussed me out while they took him away in cuffs. I tried getting my hair restyled into something presentable, but there was no saving it, and now I'm bald too. Now a bunch of Gary's family are telling me to drop the charges because Gary was off his meds and didn't mean to do it. I was like, what the hell? Because I never knew that he was on meds. But I still refuse to drop the charges. It'll take months to grow my hair back to the way that it was, but all of the calls and messages from Gary's relatives are starting to get to me. Just about everyone else in our friend group has cut Gary out though, and say that I'm doing the right thing by not dropping the charges. So now I'm divided. Am I the asshole for pressing charges on a former friend for shaving my head in my sleep? Edit, I want to make something clear here. So many people have said things like, dude, it's just hair. But would they all be saying that if I wasn't a man? What if I was some girl that had hair that took years to grow? Would they be saying the same thing? Sure, hair grows back, but it takes time. If it was something that grew back fast, people would be less inclined to care, but it's not fast. It takes months. And for some who had long hair, years. That's a lot of time wasted growing. And I don't plan on pushing Gary to go to prison, but I don't want to drop the charges either. His family already bailed him out, and while I don't know that he was on meds, I knew he had quite the temper, and even an entitled attitude at times. One example being a lunch, where he wanted us all to combine the check and split it evenly. He got the most expensive thing on the menu. I got a cheeseburger. When we all said no, Gary went off on us for not being good friends. He's always been an ass when he doesn't get his way, and I've only known him for like 3 years. This incident was a last straw for not just me, but a lot of our other mutual friends. As for the charges, I don't want to send Gary to prison, but I would like him to get some therapy and community service. With the way Gary's acted around me in the past, and what he did to me, I actually wonder how long before he got more violent. I've seen and heard of him getting in fights for less. Edit 2, I've gotten many comments from people saying, "You're the asshole, he has cancer." If you actually read what I posted, Gary is not the one with cancer. A relative of his I don't know does. And no, I don't know what kind of cancer. Gary didn't elaborate. He wanted me to shave my head for this person, and when I refused, he left in a tantrum and then shaved my head while I was passed out drunk at a party. I can see why you were apprehensive about Gary this whole time because he has a history and, you gave him the benefit of the doubt. He wasn't too much of a psycho, maybe just a little pinch of psycho every now and then. Keep your distance, have firm boundaries, and all of a sudden he violates you in your sleep. He didn't even make you fully bald, he just destroyed your hair, leaving it patchy by the sounds of it, and shaved an eyebrow off. This man is actually unhinged for his actions here, and while I don't think he should go to prison for this, I do think that he should probably be institutionalized. Community service and everything, yeah, but I'd want some bigger punishment for something this heinous, Not the asshole. In the comments, not the asshole. Contact the DA that is handling the case and let him know that his family is pressuring you to drop the charges. They may be violating the law too. If Gary hasn't learned to take his meds, a little time in jail will teach him that lesson. Edit, I didn't mean to suggest that jail will help him. I believe facing negative consequences for his actions versus getting out of them will help him. OP replies, that's a very good idea. I'll take care of that as soon as I can. Make copies of all the texts, save the voicemails, don't block them, let them spew, as all this info should go to the police. And yeah, not the asshole. Gary is an adult. He knows what'll happen if he goes off his meds. He did it anyway. Sounds like his family might be doing a wee bit of enabling there. No means no. If he hasn't figured it out by now, the authorities need to teach him. What the hell is Gary's problem? What a moron, him and his family included. Why do I feel like Gary's going to use this to try and lessen his punishments? Because that's exactly what whiny, petulant children do. Hey man, that's offensive to petulant children. Check the boxes says, not the asshole. The police called it assault because that's what it is. Block all his relatives, but save any messages you already have and report them for harassment. Do not feel bad about pressing charges either. He assaulted you and was proud of it. And now, on to the update. So a friend of mine just showed me a video yesterday in which my old post had been read. Honestly, I'd nearly forgotten about it since I was only there to ask if I was the asshole or not. And since I don't want to go through the pain of trying to do an update on Am I the Asshole, I thought I'd just do it here since entitled spells out Gary pretty well. Other than the shaving incident, he tried to get us to partially pay for his food multiple times by combining the check and dividing it equally when he always got the most expensive thing on the menu, and he even once tried to pull the "I forgot my wallet" bit. He was described as a neckbeard by multiple people, including the women that he flirted with. He tried to get a married neighborhood woman that was older than him to have an affair with him, and then later egged her apartment door when she refused. That one I only learned about a couple of months after my original post. And no, Gary never saw consequences for doing that. I also learned he stole several video games and DVDs from friends, mooched food and drink out of their fridges, and even went through a period as a squatter for 2 months by refusing to leave a house that he had been let into by a former tenant, and the landlord actually paid him to leave. Gary's also an extreme hypocrite that contradicted himself more than a corrupt politician. For example, one minute he would be anti-vax, then the next he'd be complaining about other people who weren't getting the C-19 vaccine. Pretty sure he never got it too. I can't believe I ever had any sympathy for this man. To recap, someone a former friend of mine named Gary is related to got cancer, and Gary went to try to get our friend group to all shave their heads. He only got a couple of them to agree, and even brought his shaving kit to my apartment because he just assumed that I'd join in as well. And was already unboxing it before I even got the chance to say anything. I told him the shaving was not happening. Well, he decided to make an example of me and waited until I was good and passed out from drinking at a friend's party. I was so dead to the world that I had to be shaken awake by a friend after Gary got caught shaving my head. He took off one of my eyebrows and messed up my hair beyond saving, and he was laughing his ass off over having done it. So yes, the rest had to come off, and I ended up pressing charges on Gary for assault, and found out he's been on meds for a mental disorder for years, and he stopped taking the meds, which is one of the reasons why he was so loopy. But his tune changed pretty quick when police arrested him, since what he had done qualifies as assault. Gary's family harassed me and tried to make me drop the charges. I not only didn't drop the charges, but I reported the harassment to the police. The only problem is it didn't bloody stop. In fact, it got worse. Mainly from Gary's mother, whom I can see where Gary got his charming personality from. She showed up to my apartment a couple of weeks after the shaving incident to scream at me that I knew nothing about what they were going through, and a little hair wasn't a big deal. I told her my hair was a big deal to me, and what Gary did was inexcusable. Well, that earned me a slap on the face, followed by a swift kick to the nuts, followed by a few more kicks to my body after I went down. It was all recorded by a camera that I had watching the front door. The landlord wouldn't let me put in a Ring doorbell cam. One of my neighbors saw her and screamed at her they'd be calling the police. Gary's mum ran, and I ended up going to the hospital with minor injuries. Mostly just bruises, a black eye, and a sore groin. Gary's mother got arrested, and I filed a lawsuit against her for attacking me. I saw her in court twice for both her assault on me and the lawsuit I filed for her assault. This woman had taken several self-defense classes over the years, so she knew how to fight. That had the judge consider her a trained individual, and she was sentenced to 6 months in jail, given 2 years probation, and ordered to pay my medical bills. She actually cried to the judge about the money, but he wasn't having it. It took some time to see her again in court for the lawsuit against her, as she was out of jail by then. I was awarded $10,000 for the harassment, emotional damages, and lost working hours, and she had to pay all the court and lawyer fees, which she cried about again because she didn't want to pay anything to the man who had ruined her and her son's lives. But she had the money for both court cases because she had no problem paying. But it was around that time that I heard that Gary's relative with cancer had passed away. I don't know any details, just that they had passed on. I admit, that was sad. But I never knew the person. But Gary made their condition his hill to die on when he tried to make an example out of me. Gary's got some probation and community service for what he did to my hair, and he cut contact with our entire friend group and eventually moved away. Where to? I don't know. I don't care either. As for my hair, well, it grew back just fine. It took nearly a half a year to get it back to how it was. My boss had me put out of sight for a while, and I was wearing a hat everywhere for at least a month. I did take that $10,000 that I got from the lawsuit and combined it with my savings for a down payment on a house, so I've since moved into a much better abode. I also have a girlfriend now that's living with me. It was a bit soon for her to move in, but there were extenuating circumstances. We're making it work though, and I'm happy. In the comments, ToastTO says, "I'm so confused. So Gary didn't have cancer and asked people to shave their head for someone else with cancer. This sounds really insane." Someone who was probably horrified when they found out their crazy relative was asking strangers to shave their head for them. To the point of 2 relatives being charged with both assault and harassment. Always take your meds, y'all. Mental illness is not your fault, but it is your responsibility to manage. I don't get how anyone can say that it's just hair. Like, no. No, it isn't when it's something that you take pride in. People find ways to criticize others for things they feel proud of without caring for the sentiments involved. That turned out a lot better than I was expecting, but it feels as though a conclusion like this should be the norm for every story where someone is done so dirty like that. Thank God both the mum and Gary were dealt with. I know people in my life like Gary, and I love staying as far away from them as I can. I don't think Gary really got what he deserved. I feel like he deserved more punishment, but sometimes life is unfair. Anyway, guys, what is your opinion on that one? Let me know down in the comments below. Our next post is by a throwaway account titled, "I, 28 male, cheated on my ex, 30 female of 5 years, with my best friend's sister, 21 female. I'm still in love with my ex." To be honest, I don't remember much of that night because I was pissed. All I remember is that I woke up with my best friend's sister, ABC, in my bed. I don't even remember her coming to the party. I was living a nightmare of my own making because I love my girlfriend, now ex, and I didn't know what to do. I told ABC to be quiet and let me think of what to do. I felt shit and the guilt was killing me, but I was too cowardly to confess. Anyway, 3 weeks later, on Christmas Day, ABC told me that she was pregnant. I knew that I had to step up now. I told my ex that I wanted to break up with her, and I started dating ABC officially. We got engaged on Valentine's Day because ABC told me that it was important to her to be married before having the baby. I know that too, because I know my friend's family are very conservative. We had to at least be engaged before breaking up the news to them that we were expecting. ABC had a miscarriage last week, and it has been tough. I never have been so miserable in my life. I feel bad for losing my child and very guilty because I felt relief. I still love my ex and I can't believe how all my life changed because of one drunk mistake. I was supposed to propose to my ex this Valentine's Day, and I even had the ring that I saved 3 years for. Even ABC was angry that she didn't get the ring because she knew I was saving for this ring. I want to call my ex and confess to everything to her now. I know I can't have her back, but I want her to at least know that I still love her, but that I needed to do the right thing and atone for my mistake. I really want to do that, but my sister who knows everything told me to just let her go. Any advice? Opie, my advice is you should have done this from the get-go and not do this wild rat race with the sister. What are you thinking? I would honestly take that advice, let them go, and let bygones be bygones, because you've missed the mark. If you do this now, you're going to open a can of worms that you were not prepared for. In the comments, OK Soup says, "Can you imagine how funny it would be if you changed your entire life for a pregnancy that never existed in the first place? It's actually not funny, but it almost sounds like what happened. Break up with her. Tell your ex or don't tell your ex. Either way, leave her alone after. And please get tested. I know this isn't what you want to hear right now, but STIs can go unnoticed for years with no symptoms. You don't want to end up giving a future partner cervical cancer and your and their life changing overnight." Oh honey, no. This girl was never pregnant. If your timeline is accurate, she should have had an ultrasound to confirm pregnancy. They would have measured the fetus to calculate date of conception, etc. If she had a miscarriage, she would have had an ultrasound to confirm all the remnants of that fetus had left her womb, and they might have had to perform a D&C if that was not the case. She played you, maybe took advantage of you, but most definitely lied to you. You made some horrible, horrible decisions too. Step away from it all. Don't contact anyone. Not this girl and not your ex. Other than a therapist for your mental health, and maybe someone to help you navigate the legal waters if you decide to pursue legal action against this girl. There's honestly no way out of this, even though you potentially did nothing wrong due to consent problems. If you were both blacked out, we can't really assign blame there. You're probably just going to have to move on from your ex. Love doesn't mean very much when trust was broken and you pull the whole breakup engagement stunt. Your idea of stepping up wasn't really helping anyone, and in fact blew your life up even more. Who cares how much being engaged before having a baby matters to somebody that you don't love and weren't with? If she didn't want the baby without being married, and she was able to consent, why on earth did she have sex with you? Whole batch of stupid. And now, onto the update, titled, Thank You. Thank you for still reaching out to me. I've been busy. I won't be updating the main post because of the amount of hate I got last time, but for the few who showed me support and helped me understand my situation better, I am fine now. I have confronted my fiancé, ex, and my best friend, her brother, about what happened, that I didn't remember any of it, and that now I've talked to others, you, about it. A lot fell into place. I realized that I was taken advantage of. They weren't very understanding, and my friend accused me of using his sister and now wanting an out. I felt then and there that this was the end of our friendship. My sister also thought it was weird that I felt abused, and however I tried to explain it, she couldn't understand my feelings. I've decided not to engage with her in this subject again. When I broke off my engagement, my family wasn't happy about it. They don't know many of the details, but at the same time, they respected my decision, if reluctantly. They loved my ex-fiancé. I have started therapy, and I found out that I still have severe PTSD from that night. I just didn't know that it was PTSD. I just thought I was in, lack of a better word, dying. I finally want to say that I've spoken to my ex-girlfriend. I told her everything, and how sorry I was for hurting her. I left the part that I still love her out. I never really stopped because I didn't want her to think that I had any other motives other than saying I'm sorry. She is the one that I hurt most, and yet she was the one who believed me without any hesitation, believed everything I told her, and she repeated what many of you who supported me here said, that I was taken advantage of. She has been my support with the therapy, and she even came on some of my sessions. I don't think she wants me back as a partner, and I won't ask her to. I'm just glad that I have her friendship. She has been my rock and my blanket, and I couldn't ask for better. In the comments, Is it just me, or does someone else also suspect that the best friend's sister was probably already pregnant when she dragged OP to bed? Or it was a lie the whole time and the miscarriage didn't happen? In one of his comments, OP said the miscarriage was right after he asked for a paternity test, and she readily agreed. Lol, seriously? She definitely was never pregnant then. What a freak and a weirdo. I really hope that OP gets his deserved happy ending. I'm glad his ex believed him, and I hope they can rebuild together in whatever way they may. I also hope that ABC rots. She committed a heinous crime, and frankly, I very much doubt she was pregnant. What a horrible human being. And that's where I'm going to end today's episode, guys. I do hope you enjoyed. If you did, let me know what you thought of it down below, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.